normally my pronouns are they, them, and I'm a writer who branches out into fountain pen and ink content because I've recently become really quite invested in exploring this topic. I used to draw an awful lot. I used to write an awful lot with fountain pens. I grew up in Germany where it's still required that you use a fountain pen for all your schoolwork, apart from some pencil as well, but mainly fountain pen. And so I've used fountain pens all my life, and I used to basically wrote them until they broke. Um, I've recently realized that I've probably thrown away an awful lot of pens that might now have sentimental value, but I'm a bit of like I have a problem of getting rid of broken things anyway. So if I I'm not really sad about me being able to throw things out, to be honest. Um, but for example, I was never really interested in like what make, what model. I knew certain pens worked for me and some didn't. I know that I had a Lamy at some point, but I think mostly like the Pelican, like school fountain pens. Um, then because I was writing so much, my parents bought me some more expensive fountain pens. I mean, not expensive, but like a bit more. And of all those, I still have one left. All the other ones, I lost a few of them. I broke quite a few of them. They were like heavily used. Maybe today I'm looking back and say, no, it's a pity, but they were working instruments for me. And because as a writer, I'm literally writing all my first drafts by hand. So pens are still like a really important things. I go through phases, like many years where I wrote only in like a soft pencil, which was a nightmare because that obviously rubs off the page. And if your page is a bit yellow anyway, like in a Moleskine or like a Leuchtturm notebook, you really can't see anything afterwards. Then I found a make of really like a mass-produced cheap biro that worked really well for me. Just I could write for hours with them. And I thought that's not very sustainable, and I'm going through those in at a clip. So I looked more into like refillable biros, and then got a few of these Parkers that are quite easy to refill and come in lovely colors. But then at some point, a few years ago, I think like 2 years ago, I started to branch out again. And I just wanted to like take you through a short history of my fountain pen um, usage, let's say. Um, one and a half, this wallet, and I bought quite a few fountain pens recently. There are more to arrive. I will probably do sort of new pen day things for them, but my goal is this one has 12 slots. I don't really have more than 12 because there's no reason why for me. Um, I from the beginning, I set myself a few parameters because I know that once I'm off the rails, I'm really off the rails. So I need some rules in place to just um, guide me along the way if I'm getting interested in something new. And so for this, my main rule was no duplicates, even with the other colorways. I don't know how long I will be able to comply to this, but so basically, if with all the lovely TOSP ecos out there, just like maybe one with the silver trim and maybe one with the bronze or something, but basically I'm not allowed to collect them all. That's what I'm saying. I don't have the space to store anything really. So even this addition to my household is quite a big investment. Not so much money wise, but just like space wise. Also, like inks take up space, paper notebooks take up space. I have a whole little shelf with like filled notebooks that I'm keeping because they're the first drafts of my books. And of all the pens that I still have that have not been thrown out because they're broken, and that are actually usable, um, the first one is a GH 703. Um, the clip is missing, and that's a very basic school um, school fountain pen from Germany from the sort of the 60s. And this is my grandfather's old pen. Um, it has sort of a hooded nib. I don't know if you can see it. Um, and this is like it could still fill it, but it's. I've always been told that you don't give your fountain pen, you don't write with someone else's fountain pen because that might change the nib for them. So this has obviously been used an awful lot, and the nib does not work like I like my nibs to work. So this is definitely for sentimental reasons only. Then the last one that is still functioning, like the next one that's still functioning and that my parents bought me is a Senator. I have no idea of the model or like the colorway name. It has some sort of swirly bits, like ink bits. It's actually a very comfortable pen. It's a bit of a dry pen. It's a piston fill, and this lived together with my grandpa's pen lived for 10 years in my old room at home. And my parents recently brought this to me because they are having a bit of a clear out and wanted to get rid of a few things. My mum, I think, has my similar predilection for stationery like I have. So at least like getting some stuff out. And the Senator pen was one of the things that made it back um, to the UK where I currently live. The latest one that I've bought on my own of my own accord is like a very simple Parker Jotter red, as you can see. This I think I bought this for about maybe £10, or slightly less. It's just it has a good weight to it. It's actually quite a thin pen, but this is the pen that I use the most for writing my books. I can write with this for 4 hours without really stopping. So this is the workhorse. And I didn't really realize when I bought it that the cartridges for these pens are actually humongously expensive. If you consider what they are. So my recent decline or like spiral into a more pronounced interest in fountain pens came when I purchased an ink converter for this very pen because I didn't want to buy the expensive cartridges anymore. And because, again, I'm writing a lot, I'm actually getting through a lot of the plastic cartridges and I'm producing quite a lot of waste. So that was like the noble intention was to get an ink converter for this one. And I guess because I was looking for ink converters, I had this on my wish list for quite a while. Um, Obviously, then you get targeted ads, the algorithms adjust, and I got served more fountain pen content. And obviously, there's a huge community on YouTube, and I've been hugely enjoying like all the different ways people swatch, all the different ways they approach the hobby. It's fantastic. And so this is a bit of an introduction for me. Like this is my sort of pen journey up to a certain point. And I think because I really like the hooded nib on my grandfather's pen, the very first pen that I allowed myself to buy is a Hongdian C1 that has a hooded nib. This is in fine. um, because the parka has a medium nib, and I think because I've been writing with it so much, it's actually quite soft now. So I wanted to go the other way, and I just love the yellow colorway of this one. And I got it really quite cheaply. So it was like a really low entry point, to be honest. And I was quite impressed by like just the weight of the pen. It feels nice. Um, the fine nib, I think I need to get used to that. I've realized that with fine nibs, my writing becomes tiny, so my writing actually adjusts a lot depending on what nib I use, and then that it's fine for journaling, but for writing the book, I'm a bit. I mean, I can cram more words onto a page, but it's even more difficult to transcribe afterwards. Then I went to my parents for Christmas, um, and the town that they live in has a very specialized stationery shop, very high end, and I basically felt I was ready for something a bit more expensive, not over 100 euros. But I basically said to the shop assistant, I'm sort of looking for something in the sort of 60 euro area. That's sort of £50 and a bit. And she gave me like this one, actually the silver one, to try with like a broader nib, I think, because that's a medium and that's actually quite fine. So that's Lamy Aeon. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it. Um, and it's a very sort of unassuming pen, but it's quite a big pen, sort of cigar shaped, but with a clip. Um, it writes beautifully. Though it's a bit of a dry one too. I bought some Lamy ink for it, like from the Crystal series, because I wanted to test it, like with the ink it's supposed to go with. Um, I've recently used it a lot for drawing, which is really nice. Especially as the ink that's in here is topaz, which is sort of a sepia tone. And that worked really well for me. Um, so at the moment, I'm not using that much for writing. I think also because it's quite heavy and it is a bit of a strain compared to the Parker. So if I sort of put these next to each other, the Parker is really a fair bit thinner, but I still enjoyed the writing experience with this one quite a bit. And I'm still using it quite a bit. So I'm trying to circle through. And then the next one that I ordered, because I think what happened was that I saw quite a few older videos of the Jinhao tens, and everyone was raving about them. And because I was with my parents and I had a bit of sort of time on my hand to browse and see, and also where I live here, it's very hard to find for delivery drivers, so I'm always a bit anxious about any parcels coming to me. But with my parents that's not the case, so I actually bought this one for my mum as well because she enjoyed writing with it so much. I thought this is sort of a Christmas gift almost. So I ordered that for her and ordered the Jinhao 10 in the. I think when I ordered it, it came under the caramel gradient name, um, and this is one I've used quite a bit in my journal. And then last thing um, that the last two things that I then ordered afterwards was a Twisby Eco in the cafe and bronze colorway from the breakfast series. And this would be something where I'd say, okay, one is enough. This has a medium nib. It's really nice to write with. At the moment, I have Robert Oster's Wind in here, which, because it's a chromo shader, I thought I put it in a medium nib, and it's actually quite light. I don't think I can use it to write the books. It's also, again, something for journaling, which I hadn't anticipated. I thought it would be a bit more legible. Maybe I just have to put it in a finer pen and see what that does. Um, and then the last one of the ones that have recently arrived is an Asvine P20. And this is like an Leonardo dupe. As you can see, I have consumed lots of videos. Um, and I think I have a thing for green and brown pens. The marble, like the green marble colorway, was definitely the one that I wanted to go with for this model. And it's also because it's quite similar to the Lamiaeon. It has sort of a similar width. It's not quite as heavy, I think. Um, but I've also heard really good things about the nibs in the Aspines. So I just wanted to test it. And actually, the two pens that are still coming are both Aspines, because I thought I'd like to have like a filling system for each, like one of each filling system, and it would be nice to have them like from one brand to compare. And the Aspines, I've heard really good things about them, and they are just about like my really my budget, because I need things to be cheap and cheerful. I can't afford to put hundreds of quid down on a pen that I break because I work it to death, or that I might lose, or because it's with me all the time. So I sort of my fountain pen experience comes with the caveat it can't be too expensive. At some point, I might like have one really nice pen, but I've been looking at the Benus, but the Benus, there's not a colorway that really speaks to me at the moment. So I'm sort of waiting. Maybe that's sort of the upper end of what I'm ever going to do. So this is sort of a fountain pen journey for like the more limited budget and limited space and just limits all around. But I found this writes really well. I really like the way that it feels and how it looks. I don't think I need like a pen that has a more famous name and looks very similar. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm not feeling drawn to the really expensive things anyway. So I'm sort of very mid price and dupes, really. Like good dupes. Why not? Um, that's sort of where I'm trying to position myself. That might change over the time. I'm slowly getting used to like different kind of inks. I know, for example, that with the shimmer inks, I need to be really careful because, again, they can be hard to read. So one other rule is like not too many shimmer inks, not so much sheen, um, and legibility is king. So that's sort of a very short introduction to me getting started with this hobby and introducing myself to the community. I definitely don't have funds to splurge on lots of different sort of papers, so I think um, for the moment I'm going to stick to the Leuchtturm notebooks because that's what I use anyways, and especially when I do sampling and stuff, I'd rather sample on a paper that I'm actually using, especially for legibility, than do it on a really fancy paper that I don't use in my day-to-day writing. And also, I I mean, I like the look of the Tomorrow River paper, but it seems to be the one that's used a lot seems to be very thin. So not quite sure that I like that. I might come to like it. I might become like more of a like knowledgeable and know why actually this is the better choice. At the moment where I stand, I need to be a bit careful about not going overboard completely because I'm already way overboard with what I bought recently, even though they're cheap and cheerful. But that's my situation, really. So yeah, I mean, that's just a quick introduction. And I would love if you stick around. I have other videos about my like more of the writing, day-to-day writing, um, and like including a writing vlog. And I'm also reading a lot, though I'm not really posting a lot about like book reviews or anything, but it's just from time to time you will hear me talk about books as well. That's me. Oh God. So yeah, if you'd like to stick around, it would be amazing. Thank you so much for watching.